Hello and welcome back to our Bible story time. We're reading from the Lectionary Story Bible by Ralph Milton, and I'm so grateful that Ralph has given permission for his stories to be used. Today's story is called Rebekah and Isaac, and it's based on Genesis 24. If you want, you can go back and read some of the stories or listen to some of the stories that are about Abraham and Sarah. And this story is about their son, Isaac. Sarah was 127 years old when she died. Isaac was a grown man by that time. He cried when his mother died. Isaac and his father Abraham buried her in a special place, which they bought from some of the people who lived nearby. Before Sarah died, she and Isaac and Abraham had some long talks about God's promise. Now Isaac remembered those talks with his mother, and he felt very lonely. "Isaac," said Abraham, "you need to get married." "But Dad," Isaac started to say. "Never mind, do what I say. You can't marry any of the women around here," Abraham said. "They don't live in God's way. They don't understand about God's promise." "But Dad," Isaac tried again. "Just be quiet and listen," said Abraham. "I'll send one of my servants to the place where we used to live, long before you were born, Isaac. We have lots of uncles and aunts and cousins living there. They don't know about God's promise, but they try to live in God's way. Maybe the servant can find the right person for you to marry." So Abraham sent one of his servants, a man named Eliezer, to a town called Nahor, where Abraham's relatives still lived. He made Eliezer promise to find just the right woman. To help the servant, Abraham sent along 10 camels loaded down with good things. These were gifts Eliezer could give to Abraham's relatives. When Eliezer came to Nahor, he was hot and tired. He stopped to rest in the shade of some trees that grew near a well. While he was resting, Eliezer watched the people come to the well to get water. The servant prayed to God, "Please help me choose the right person." Just then, he saw Rebekkah coming to the well. "Could you give me a drink of water?" he said to Rebekkah. "Of course," she said. And then, without being asked, she gave water to all 10 camels. That was hard work, because camels drink a lot of water. The well was very deep. She was quite tired by the time she finished. But she didn't mind. Rebekkah felt it was important to be kind to strangers. She often offered to help people when they seemed to need it. The servant smiled as he watched Rebekkah carry water to his camels. "I think this is the woman God would like me to bring to Isaac, so they can share the promise together." "Thank you," said Abraham's servant when Rebekkah had finished. "Is there a room at your house for me to spend the night?" "Of course," said Rebekkah. "We've got lots of room and food for you and for your camels." There was lots of talk at Rebekkah's house that night. They invited Eliezer to have supper with them. Before he would eat, he had to tell them all the news about Abraham and Sarah and Isaac. And of course, he explained why he had come. "I think God wants me to invite Rebekkah to share the promise with Isaac," Eliezer said. Rebekah's mother and her brother and all the rest of the family didn't know what to think. They talked about whether Rebekkah should or shouldn't go. Nobody said, "Let's go ask Rebekkah." Finally, they all agreed Rebekkah should go. That's when Eliezer brought out all the wonderful gifts he had brought. He gave them all to Rebekah's family. They all talked as if it didn't matter what Rebekkah thought. The next day, someone said, "Maybe we should ask Rebekkah." So they did. "I'll go," said Rebekkah, "right now." "Right now?" said her mother. "Couldn't you wait for a week or so?" "No, I want to go right now," said Rebekkah insisted. The servant smiled to himself. She can think for herself, he thought. She's not only got a strong body, she's got a strong spirit too. Rebekkah and Isaac will like each other. The next morning they all left. The servant and his helpers and all 10 camels and Rebekkah and all of her helpers. There were lots of hugs and tears and goodbyes, and then they set off. It took many days to get to where Isaac lived in Canaan. Rebekah didn't like riding on camels one bit. Sometimes she felt sick because the camels would sway back and forth. Once she even had to throw up. Sometimes she hated the smell of the camels. Sometimes she was just plain bored. It was a long trip. One day, Eliezer told her, "We're getting close to Canaan now." Rebekah began to get excited. When she saw a man walking in a field, she asked Eliezer, "Who's that?" "That," said Eliezer, "is Isaac. He's the man you have come to marry." "Make the camel kneel so I can get off," said Rebekah. Then she began walking across the field towards Isaac. Isaac saw Rebekah coming across the field. They had never seen each other before, and yet they knew they were going to be husband and wife. Both Rebekah and Isaac had thought of things they would say to each other when they met. Now neither could think of anything. They walked together toward the tent where Sarah, Isaac's mother, had lived. Rebekah and Isaac were married in that tent. In time, they came to love each other very deeply, and Rebekah often thanked God because of the promise she and Isaac shared. I'm so glad you joined us for our story time today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.